I think there's a few team members here supporting people up here. We love that. We love that. So yeah, we're just going to jump into it. One thing I love to do when I start panels is have people kind of introduce themselves and tell their community journey. And I just want to say, like, bringing this panel together, even like when we jumped on a Zoom and like talked together, we actually figured out this panel together and made it better. It was really like we kind of had this idea that this could work, but then really jumping on the call together and talking, we came up with a nice panel. So I'm ready. I'm going to pass it off to Sarah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Graysdorf. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm based in New York City. I got into community management a little bit by accident. I think most people in this room can probably relate to that. I studied computer science in college, and while I was in college, I started a company called Holdette, originally to solve the lack of pockets in women's clothing. I don't know if any ladies can relate to that. Yeah, so I ended up starting a suit brand, actually made this blazer. And then the pandemic happened and simply nobody needed workwear anymore. So I ended up building a community around what we were doing. We had been building this brand for women who were just out of college, and so I built a community for that audience. Still goes by the name Holdette, and we now have 9 community groups across the country for women who are 0 to 5 years out of college. After building that, and as it was getting off the ground, I rebuilt our website on Squarespace. Squarespace ended up opening up a role for a community manager, and I have now been one of the community managers on our team at Squarespace, helping to support our pro users, so people who build a lot of websites. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I love the suit, by the way. Fantastic. I had no idea about the women's no pockets. I can't imagine. So my heart goes out to all the ladies out there that have been struggling with no pockets. Yeah. I don't know how you do it.
We have her now.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Catania, and I'm excited to be here. I am based in Southern California, originally from Chicago. I got into community through a lot of different avenues, but I have a media communications journalism background. I love telling stories. I got started in community through starting a concert fan community and podcast and really kind of getting in through content. And then from there, I helped a series of agencies really help brands build communities both internally for employees and externally for customers over the last 15, 20 years. So very excited to do that. And this particular topic is near and dear to my heart, and I feel and it should be near and dear to a lot of community professionals as well, because the success of our programs really lives and dies on how well we do what we're talking about. So hopefully we can transmit a lot of the knowledge to you guys here. So thank you.
Hi, you guys. Is this on? Okay, great. I can never tell up here. My name is Mandy Ross, and I'm with the Atlassian community. I am the community program manager for product and design, and my road into this role was very long and winding. I actually started out in the arts as an events manager and fundraiser for the San Francisco Art Institute and a bunch of other institutions in the Bay Area. And I was dating a guy in a band, and the bass player was like, "You're really into the Mac thing, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love the Mac." And she's like, "You should like work at Apple with me." And I was like, "Okay." And so I interviewed there, and I got a job testing art software. And then I was in technical program management for like 15 years until I started working at a startup where they're like, "You're a good writer. Can you run marketing?" And I'm like, okay. And the marketing that I did was basically community-based because we were a startup and we had $0 and 0 cents. So we used social media and our own platform to basically form our community. And that's where I kind of started off in it. And then through an acquisition, I ended up at Atlassian, and I found the most amazing team ever. Woo! And they hired me because I kind of have a unique skill set where I speak both marketing and R&D. So I was very much able to connect. I can speak to the product teams and help them translate what folks in marketing are looking for. So that it just kind of ended up working out really well. And and that's where I'm from. Back to you, Jess.
All right. Aren't they awesome? They're awesome. So let's get into the heart of the matter. The internal stakeholder, product teams. You can really build your community when these people jump aboard. And also, like, your community can also contribute back to the product, to the organization. And we need to create conduits and programs for that. So first, what I want to talk about is how do you get those people involved? And we're just going to kind of go down the line. Let's start talking about it, Sarah.
Absolutely. So, for those who don't know Squarespace, it's a website development tool, and for basically our entire history as a company, we marketed Squarespace as a tool to build your own website, DIY, do it yourself. And this is absolutely true. It's super easy to use. You should totally go build a website on Squarespace. But sometimes you don't have the time or the resources or the skill set to go and do that, and so you hire someone to do it. And that's where my community comes in, folks who are building sites for other people. And the thing is about that, though, is that the kind of bringing in that mission of creating this space for pros is relatively new in our company's history. And so reasonably, a lot of the folks on other teams at our company are pretty focused on that DIY customer. And so it has been a delightful challenge over the last year and a half for me, but more for some of my teammates, to kind of expand the mandate of what we can really be doing at Squarespace and who we can be serving. And I think that really getting internal stakeholders on board has to happen from both the top and from the bottom. I've been lucky to have leaders within our team who can go to other leaders in the product org and marketing and kind of convince them about the value of a pro user community. But I've really worked up, I think, directly from the bottom, meeting directly with individual product managers and marketing managers to talk about how we can plug in with our community to initiatives that maybe they're already doing. So I think there's been 3 things that have been super helpful for doing that. One is when I got into this role and started working with products folks more, I went and met with every single product manager that touched our community. There were like 40 of them, so it took a while, but it was super valuable, and I think really set the groundwork for those long-term relationships. And once they knew me, once they knew the value that community could bring, they were way more willing to do early access releases, early product releases, get their products to the community earlier. I think the other thing is a lot of teams have checklists that are like, we have to check everything off before we get this out the door, especially product teams. And so you need to get your community onto that list. If they can't release something until they've checked in with your community manager, then your community is going to be notified every time something comes out the door. So that's been really helpful. And I think the third thing is getting onto folks' onboarding team lists of who they need to meet. So if there's 10 folks that new employees need to meet, you should be on that list so that anyone who's coming in, you can kind of tell them about your community, tell them about the value of community so they're not so far in and maybe picked up some other ideas of who they should be engaging with. They know that your community is valuable. You've told them that from the start. And that's really been helpful in building a lot of relationships. That's me.
Guess I'm next, right?
Yep. Take it away, Chris.
Like a typewriter. Everybody know what typewriters used to be, right? Or, remember those? No, seriously. You don't remember? Right, I know. Sorry. I used one. Yes. No, seriously though. So I work for Esri. We are the geospatial mapping software leader in the industry, and what we do, we help build maps to solve business problems. So think, kind of Google Maps on steroids, but even more, bigger scope than that. We've helped our customers from the community standpoint solve some of the world's biggest problems. So mapping COVID, you might have seen the Johns Hopkins dashboard that showed all the cases and all kinds of stuff as COVID. So that's one of our products. So we've helped a lot of different businesses. So from our standpoint, when I joined Esri about 6 years ago, was to be able to take a community that had been launched but hadn't really gone to that next level of being a strategic asset. So one of the things that I saw that was really important in getting engaged with the stakeholders was listening. And with my journalism background, I think a lot of community professionals I know that I've talked with tend to have a content or a journalism background, which when you're a journalist, you have to listen really well, and you have to ask really good questions. And you have to understand your audience as well. So when engaging with stakeholders, it's very important to understand where they are on this. There's a spectrum that I like to think about. If they're a skeptic or are they a champion, and kind of where they fit or lie on that spectrum really determines how you engage with them. Because if they're a champion, you can leverage them to get someone who is not on board or doesn't understand the community as well. So really identifying them is the step, and then when you sit down and talk with them, you really want to take time to understand what is their pain, what is their problem that they're trying to solve. And I know it can be counterintuitive, but you really don't want to lead with community. You want to listen as much as you can so you can kind of understand, they're trying to build product, or they're trying to help their support team build culture. Whatever that business problem is that leader is expressing, listen really closely to it, understand what it is, and then you begin to position the value of the community in the context of it's going to help solve that problem, and not lead with, community is great. Everybody in this room knows that it's great, but internal stakeholders, they don't care, right? They have problems to solve, real business problems. So identifying that, building that trust, and really understanding that this is not a quick fix. I think you mentioned it real quickly about the long-term relationships. So I do these things called ultra marathons where you run long distances for like hours and hours and hours, and I do those just not only to stay in shape, but also to understand the business process of building relationships with stakeholders. It takes time. So you got to be patient, and you got to understand that they're not going to be a skeptic or a champion right away. Business takes time. Community building, we all know, takes time. Relationships take time. So just be patient. And then as you're building trust, deliver. Deliver what you're going to commit to. I know things can get kind of crazy. Business needs can change, but as much as you can, build trust through delivering. So those are some quick things that we that I've had success with as far as internal stakeholders. So there you go.
On to you.
Sure.
Yay. I feel so, I first have to say, I feel so, bonded with you guys instantly over all the different things, because I'm listening to this and it just sounds so, it resonates with me so much. So I just love this experience of, meeting with other people who are facing the same challenges as I have, because it's kind of a lonely space. It's kind of a new thing, I think, to actually, actively involve your community, your product teams with your community members. It's kind of I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but for me, I feel like that sort of engagement has to be driven from the top down. So it has to be all involved in your values. It has to be at the core of what your company stands for, is listening to your customers, to have that kind of a transparency. And what's great about Atlassian is our founders are super into it. They support the community so much. It's unbelievable. And so one of our main company values is open company, no bullshit. And using that as kind of a platform, I was able to kind of come in and evangelize to the product teams, hey, have you heard about community? Do you know how it can deliver value to you? And a lot of the product teams just simply didn't know about us. They just didn't know we were there. And if they did know we were there, they didn't know how to leverage us in any sort of way. So what I did is similar to Sarah, is I went on a roadshow in Sydney with all of our Jira teams, with my wonderful colleague Mo. And I think in the week we were there, we had something like 10 or 12 roadshow sessions with different teams, 4 happy hours. I was exhausted. I was almost ready to just fall over at the end of that week, but it was so worth it. Because while I was there, I was able to capture the interest of a couple of key influencers on the Jira team. And Jira is our hugest team. It's massive. And capturing the interest of those product managers was that was the lightning in the bottle. And so as soon as they saw the value on it, and I'm like, look, we can do this, you can use it this way, here are the benefits, this is what can happen, they were like, oh, I get that. And so I was able to partner with these key influencers to execute on these programs that we did, to engage them more closely with our customers, because they really want to build better products with customer input, right? Sounds simple, but I don't know, product teams have a way of making that complicated sometimes. No offense, product managers. Love you. Love you all. But yeah, so once I was able to create those programs and they deliver value, it was almost like magic because they would see the value and they'd go and tell their friends. And everything at Atlassian is very, very grassroots. We don't have a lot of like official systems for things. And so when things work, people hear about it and then they come to you. And so pretty soon I had a bunch of different product teams just like beating down my door, like asking me like, oh my God, I heard you did this with Jason and it was so amazing. And wow, I hear you're doing release notes in community and like that gives you a way to interact with customers. And I'm like, yeah, let me tell you about EAP groups and product office hours and AMAs. And so just using that as like momentum was the way we really got them engaged. And so at our level, it was all like very grassroots, very kind of like proving value with the right people and then having them, evangelize that in a sort of force multiplier way across the rest of the product teams. So yeah, that's how we started engagement.
Yeah. So now we have engagement. Do we just leave it there? Nope. Okay. Next step. Next step is how do we create the programs, the containers, the sort of follow-up that keeps them engaged, that keeps them coming back, that just keeps them going to the community to solve their problems, to build new things, to get new ideas. What are some of those that you've developed?
Yeah.
Take it away, Sarah.
Awesome. So Mandy mentioned release notes, which if you're not doing, you absolutely should consider. Something we do with our pro users is send a weekly roundup of everything that has come out on the product side, any community news. We send that every Tuesday afternoon. Shout out to my colleague Will, who puts those together. And those are awesome because it's a super regular cadence to be getting product news out. I have a template, so all you have to do is really like fill in the blanks with your product update. And I also have a Google form that you can fill out that just says like, this is when it's launching, and here's the link to the copy I've already written, and it's like extremely easy to get out the door. And so whenever a product manager comes to me and they're like, okay, I think I want to get this in front of the community, I like have all the resources ready to go to make it super easy for them and not have to like start from scratch every single time. I think the other thing is creating cool moments for product folks to engage with you at like certain points around the year. So something we launched for the very first time this year was a video that broke down our entire product roadmap for the next half. So we did an H1 video, we did an H2 video, and we had product leaders from every area of our organization sit down and talk about what they were building for the next 6 months. This is literally the first time we've ever shared upcoming plans with the community, and so it was like really hard to get buy-in from the jump, but was totally worth it. The community loved it, probably like the best thing that we've done for them in a long time. And I think also kind of created that really nice feedback loop for product managers. So we could say, look, you shared what we were working on. The community is super excited about this. They have some feedback about this. And so every time one of those releases came out, the community was like ready for it, expecting it, and ready to like provide helpful feedback. The other thing we just did is run a conference for our pro user community back in August. Shout out also to my colleague Sam, who put that together. And we most of it was community member run, a lot like CMX's, but we had a couple sessions that we left open just for product managers who wanted to engage directly with the community. I think there's something so great about doing, like a survey or like just getting it out there and getting feedback on a forum, but sitting face to face with the community builds so much empathy. I know as community managers, like just talking on a forum, the community can get heated. You could be like, why don't you understand that everything we do is for your good? And that's tricky, right? And then you get on a face-to-face call and you're like, wait, this is like the nicest person I've ever met in my whole life. Oh, actually, I don't hate you. They learn. And I think the same thing happens for product folks, right? It's tricky. Sometimes you release something, and the community doesn't like it. Not everything that the product teams put out, the community is going to like. And sometimes that's because they actually didn't get the community feedback, and sometimes it's because our company knows, maybe more than the community does about something. But when you give opportunities for them to talk face-to-face like we did at our conference, it builds so much empathy and so much goodwill on both sides because the community can say, oh, I was using your tool. I know the person now that's building it. If something's not going the way I want, I know that Jess or Sarah, whoever on this product team, like actually does probably have my best interests at heart. And the same on the product side. They're like, okay, this is the community I'm building for. It's important that I circle back with Christine, the next time that I'm going to build something because I know XYZ is important to Christine. And I think that it's those like big moments throughout the year that set like a good tone for that weekly cadence and release notes and newsletters and forum posts. So yeah, but you need the little and you also need the big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, echo all of that. And when I was thinking about this, I think of the three. There's like three P's that I was thinking. I love to think in threes, and so I was thinking of it's people, partnerships, process, and programs. So when we were building the adoption within Esri, we work with a lot of other teams that are great to work with. So shout out to we can do shout outs, right?
Yeah.
With that, so we have a great Esri community team, which is hopefully I think they're listening somewhere, and some of them are here. So outside of our team, we work with a CX team that's fantastic, that have relationships with our product team to help get the adoption. So building those partnerships and really working through those other internal champions to get to those skeptics and bring them along. The second part is a process, which you were kind of talking about. Building in those back-end integrations. We connected our Esri community. We have internal ideas internal process, but we have external ideas where customers can submit product ideas. So the people that we work with help to set up a great process that the product teams could check and see the ideas coming in through tools that they already use, bringing the community to where they're at, and not having the community be something that they have to go to. Though they do go to it, but the more that you can build in certain processes that are already part of their regular workflows, that makes it so much easier to do that. I see a lot of head nodding out there, right here too. And then the third one is programs. So we set up a lot of things that help to operationalize. I use this term called operationalizing community. We have a lot of things that we do with support, embedding into the support orientation program, so that when new staff comes in, they get introduced to community. So they do an intro to community course, that they get a good idea of what our mission and vision are for the goals. That gets connected to the company goals, and that's part of how they work. So we've operationalized our community within support. And then also, often someone from support will go into product, or they'll go into development and things like that. But then we also encourage other types of programs. Our ideas program is a good example as well. So just looking across, and thinking in terms of those three Ps, the partnerships, the process, and programs. I think that's how you keep that. You keep that train rolling down the tracks, right? And just you don't want to stop at station one. You just want to keep going. And I think that we've had a lot of success with that.
All right, Mandy.
So at Atlassian, like I was saying earlier, it's really important to prove value to the product teams, and I think it's through doing that and co-creating programs with them that we really get these amazing playbooks that we can share with the rest of the company. So. It's like you said earlier, it's about listening to what their problems are and helping them figure out the best ways the community can go in there and help them solve those problems. And so, for us, it was really hard. We have so much information in the community forums, and so there's a number of different ways that we empowered the product teams to get that transparency. First is we have a bunch of different programs that are repeatable playbooks that we can do with customers that facilitate feedback and that sort of things. We do EAP groups in our online forums. Those are wildly popular. We have one set of products that are being developed exclusively from customer feedback called Point A, and those are being developed in our forums, which is pretty amazing. And then we also do office hours, where we'll set up some time for product managers to go, hey, I have office hours. If anyone wants to come and talk to me. So customers can come in and actually talk face-to-face, which, as we know, they are much nicer in person than online, always. And that's always like one of the things that helps product managers, I think, get over. Sometimes they're reticent to go into the forums because people can be shitty and like say nasty things and be not that nice. But I always tell them like meet with them in person. It's a whole different situation. You'll love it. We also do a thing called Product Insider, where I don't know about your leaders, but ours answer about 40% of the questions in our online forums. So they're a really important part of our support channel. So what we do is we have a little program where we preview things that are coming out with our community leaders before they come out, so that as soon as the product hits the street, they're ready to answer questions, be ready to go, and they don't have to, scramble to find the information that they're about this new release that's come out, because not every company is great at release notes. Also, release notes, like you were saying, it's an amazing place to, like our Confluence team puts out a monthly release note where they're like, here's what's new in Confluence. And that is inviting a discussion directly with customers to interact with them on the forums right there. And the PMs own that shit. Like they are on those posts, they're responding to them. If they need to respond to somebody one-on-one, we have a mechanism where they can get the person's email address from their post comment right away and just contact them. So, and it's about gaining momentum around all these programs and showing the value, like I was saying earlier, because some folks are pretty skeptical about it, but then when I get the influencers to execute on these programs, they're just like, whoa, look at you, oh, okay, I want to do that too, which is great. It gets a little overwhelming sometimes because it gets, they're like, we want all this stuff, and it's like, okay, we'll do it for you. But yeah, so, and then we also have our Atlassian community events, which are, unprecedented. They're so amazing, and we're really putting into motion now a program where product teams will do these like sort of regional events because we're regionally organized, but I can't ask 2 product managers to do 45 events. Like they're just not going to do that. That doesn't scale. So what we're doing is doing like huge virtual regional events, and then we're doing a little lottery for each city to have somebody show up in person at their own community event now that we're doing in-person events again. So we're really starting to like push the ACEs, right, Cass? We're still really starting to push our Atlassian community events as a really important place where product teams and customers can all come together, talk, network, share ideas, ideate, all that kind of stuff. And creating it to be self-serve. Like we have over 300 product managers in the organization, and I'm one person. And I'm the only person who supports them. So it has been really important to me to make all of this stuff self-serve. So I have an entire Confluence, library full of all of these how-to documents. And I just like, half the time, at first I was like spending hours talking to them about everything, but now I'm just like, nope, go to the how-to, go to the how-to, go to the how-to. If you need anything, DM me. But half the time they don't, because I try and really focus on making all of that the instructional material, the how-tos, super detailed with all the links to everything, like here's where you file a ticket for this and that. So yeah, making it self-serve, proving the value, having influencers hang out with you, and and celebrate them too. I do a PM of the Year blog every single year, and I call out each product manager who's had the most engagement in the forums. We have a little kudos program where they get a little gift card, but I give them a big one for like $100, and they love it. And like, this last year when I put it out again, one of the PMs DM'd me and he was like, "I'm so glad you did that again. I'm so glad you did that again. It makes everybody so happy to get recognized for all their hard work in the forums and working with customers." So yeah, that's what we do at Atlassian.
All right.
I really echo the recognition piece on that.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing. I think that's really key. It's that last kind of part. You can build all those relationships that we're talking about, but I think the recognizing them and having that.
Yeah.
Not just recognizing your customers externally,
Right.
but the other side, recognizing the staff, which sometimes gets overlooked, but is a important piece too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got just a couple minutes left. Rapid fire, lightning round. An aha moment or a, oh, that's strange, and that worked moment from each of you. All right, go.
I think mine would be that you are a community manager for your customer community, but you're also kind of an internal community manager.
Yes.
And and all of the skills that you use in your community for customers, you can use internally. The recognition, right? The updates, the constantly staying in touch, the relationship building, it's all directly applicable internally as well. And just like use those skills that you have. I think that we've had like so many awesome workshops about data, and you need that, but you need the relationship building. And I think, as Chris and Mandy said, like it's a long-term thing, and there's things that are going to take a long time to come to fruition, but you are fully equipped to do this job because you do it every day. So just kind of take that mindset and switch it, and you'll be really successful.
All right, Chris, quick.
Yeah, I think the very very similar to what Sarah was saying, but learn the business and learn to speak the language that's outside of community, so that you can highlight the value of community through the language of the teams that you're trying to engage. I think I can't stress that enough. Once you had that, I had that aha moment earlier in my career, and once that light bulb went on, lot more success. So just learn that language, take time to, study, business concepts, things that are important to the stakeholders you're trying to engage, and then engage them or sprinkle those things into the conversations that you're having. You'll find you'll have a lot more success.
All right, Mandy,
Okay,
wrap it
last
up.
one. Make your data accessible and easily navigated. We have over 20,000 posts a month in our forum, but no human brain can even possibly process that. So we took all of our data, jammed it through a service called Thematic. It has all these themes. People, product managers can look at it, drill down into the themes, find actual posts, and go and contact those customers. But make sure you have everything in a dashboard. Invest in that. Invest in the data. Get an analyst, and make sure that this data is very easily accessible to the product teams, because it's super valuable.
All right, let's give it up for Mandy, Chris, and Sarah. Woo! Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.